to me, if you measure something, it becomes important to the guys. And if you can show them a baseline and show them, stats behind it, I think kids will, reciprocate that and do it. And so hopefully, just it's infectious and comes who we are.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Today we are joined by the head boys basketball coach at Allen High School, Clark Cipoletta. In just 8 seasons as a head coach, Coach Cipoletta has a career record of 175 wins and 93 losses. Before coming to Allen, he was the head coach at Sulphur Springs High School for 7 years. In 2020 and 21, Coach Cipoletta won the THSBOA Sportsmanship Award. He's a 2-time District Coach of the Year, led his team to 2 district championships and to the state semifinals in 2018-19. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
I appreciate you having me on.
Coach, man, thank you so much for doing this. This is awesome.
Anytime I get to talk hoops.
That's right. You and I had the pleasure of getting to meet at Coach Ryan's roundtable at the Colony High School last summer. And I just really enjoyed getting to listen to you and learn from you, and thought, man, this is a guy that if I could get him for an hour or so just to talk hoops, it's probably be pretty cool. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't know this, but I've heard you speak many a times, and you were somebody that I would go to PGC gigs and just different places and heard you speak. And I was like, man, I want to be like this guy, just to for knowledge and to share the game. So now I appreciate you as well.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm just thankful whenever I get to do those things that people don't walk out mid-session, because that would be a huge blow to the confidence right there.
Never.
Well, tell me a little bit about your spring and kind of some things that you're into right now.
So, we have a new group coming in. Last year was my first year at Allen. So, just trying to figure out what fit us best. And I had a really good senior that just graduated. So we're kind of evolving into a new offense and a new way of playing. So we're introducing a lot of those new concepts, but most of it's just skill work. Anytime in the spring, the summer, the fall, we really dedicate to really a portion of nothing but skill. So, and then some weight room in the afternoon, and just trying to build the players up individually.
Nice. I love getting to hear that from when coaches are using this time to build up their players individually, because I feel like they really have 2 seasons now. They have their school season, and then they have a select season.
Right.
And, there has to be a point of like, okay, our school season's over. You're learning other things right now. You're busy. You're playing tons of games. How can we supplement that and help you along with that process?
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part. I think that's the piece that kids, miss on, really just building up their weaknesses and developing their strengths. And to me, if you can do that, especially in this time, you're just overall helping the player.
So I have a lot of experience with Allen High School, because I was at McKinney High School with Wes Watson. And so, man, we were in district for a few years. And, when anytime we felt like we were playing against a small college with the size of the school and the arena that you get to play in, what were some of the biggest differences between your previous school and then this season at Allen?
Just the big time of Allen is just special. The facilities and the resources that you have. I think they do our admin does such a great job of just really getting every sport and every head coach and every just program exactly what they need to be successful, and they support you through and through. And I had that support at Sulphur, but Sulphur, you had limited resources. They could only do so much. And here I feel like resources are almost unlimited into that retrospect. And, you said that about McKinney. I felt like we were playing a college team playing McKinney.
That's fair.
So good.
The talent that they had. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, they were really good.
See, it was really special to get to watch, Wes Watson this year, because I remember, and me and him, we had some talks about where we were at one point and some of the players we had at one point. As much as we love those guys and are thankful for them, that group that he was able to put on the floor the last 2 years is just, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, they were special, and I knew who Coach Watson was. Never got to really meet him, and he's a remarkable guy. Couldn't be more happy for him and his program this year. He did an outstanding job.
Yeah, yeah. To me, he's the goal, right?
Yeah,
Like
he
he's
is.
been at a place for 22 years,
Mhm.
and not that it's wrong to. I mean, I've changed jobs, and we try to get the best fit for us, but to get to be somewhere, yeah, for a long time, that's pretty special. What's the best thing that you borrowed lately?
So I got the privilege of being on. I think I snuck on a podcast, or not a podcast, a Zoom with the Baylor staff during quarantine, and just got to be a fly on the wall and listen to some of the ideas and things that they do. And Coach Tang was speaking, and they do this culture chart after every game, and basically it's a plus minus chart that they do, and it's based on if you stand up and high five a guy, you get a plus one. If you stand up and give a flex, encourage a teammate, you get a plus one. If you put your hands on your knees, it's a minus one. Or if you don't stand up to high five someone as they're coming out the game, it's a minus one. So they have a person just film their bench, and then a manager stat it after the game, and it's something we've done the last 2 years, and I just love it because you have guys at the end of the bench who might be upset or might be not in the right frame of mind. But if they know at the end of the game, there's repercussions coming if I'm not doing these things, and kind of fake it till you make it type of deal. I think it's really just helped our culture. And then it just became infectious and it became who we are. So that's something I'm not smart enough to think of. So I think it's brilliant.
I'll tell you, I love getting to hear that college programs and those guys at Baylor are special to me. And so I'm not surprised that they would do something like that. What's surprising to me is that as a high school coach, you're able to do that. So
Mhm.
part of the idea behind this podcast is not what you do, but how you do what you do.
Right.
And how did you film that? Have somebody, because my film follows the ball, so
Right.
I'll only see my bench half of the possessions. How did you do that?
So we have two managers. So we have a manager that just sets up a camera and literally just points at our bench the whole entire game. And he doesn't have to mess with it at all. Just it's focused on our bench the whole entire game. And then we have the one that's interactive back and forth. So even if you're on the court, you can still get like a plus minus if you're high fiving, or if a ref drops a ball and it's right beside you, you don't pick it up and hand it back to him. And we've kind of made it our own, but you just set up one right in front, and after the game, one of our assistant coaches, instead of breaking down our film, will just take it and it's really just bought into it and kind of made it his own as well. And just every day after the game, when we come in and watch ourselves, that's the first thing that pops up on the board. And, it doesn't feel good as a player if you're in the red.
Yeah.
The first couple of games this season, we had a couple of kids, and we made a point really quick that wasn't who we are. And if you can't get to that green level, or can't get where we need you to be and do your role, then we're going to have to find other options. But once again, it just took off, and no kid wanted to be in the red, and just once again became who we were.
I would think early on they may be consciously doing things for the camera.
Right.
Is there a point where you notice like they're just kind of doing it now? They don't even really notice the camera, or that it's just organic.
For sure. I think by district time, our coach is like, I don't even have to grade this anymore. It's just people are in the plus 20s and our standard 5. So it just got to a point where, once again, it just became who we are. And it's just, to me, if you measure something, it becomes important to the guys. And if you can show them a baseline and show them, stats behind it, I think kids will, reciprocate that and do it. And so hopefully, just forward it, just it's infectious and comes who we are.
We've only been going for about 10 minutes, but it's already been like I've gotten something really useful out of this talk. And that's what I love. I think every coach out there has something that they've either learned or that they do that, it should really make you think. Like, I think we have a pretty, we would say shaped, PGC culture, like shaped bench. But how often, besides randomly on our end or a charge on, when we're on defense and the whole team, like I do try to celebrate those, but really One thing I appreciated about you, even I could tell from that round table at the Colony, was how organized that you are and how purposeful that you are.
Right.
This is the time of year where all of us have just come off of either a great year or the worst year we've ever had, or an okay year.
Right.
And we're all trying to think of what can we do better? What do we need to take out? But that's a great nugget, man. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Biology. What's your BSA score? The Biology Skill Assessment is the only verified skills metric endorsed by the NIA and NJCAA to discover and develop the best talent for your team. This 10-minute, 100-shot test can be taken for free today on the Biology mobile app. Elevate your game. Culture is one of those things that it's a buzzword. It gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
And Coach Fitch at Birdville actually had a great point. When I asked him that question, he said something like, 10, 15 years ago, nobody talked about culture. Right. It's just what we do. It's who we are. It's how we show up every day. But now we have this term. So how does culture, how you show up every day, how does it drive your performance?
So once again, it's who we are. It's how we talk. It's how we handle ourselves. So every day we come into practice, we have 10 points per hour of practice that we have, and we call those culture points. And every single day you come in, so if it's a 2-hour practice, every kid knows there's 20 points on the board, and that's our culture. We're fighting for our culture, and we're trying to get that number to 0. And when we do things that is rewarding to our culture, such as like championship enthusiasm. So if somebody takes a charge and I run over there and I celebrate, I'm excited, we pick them up. I'm yelling out, "Hey, great teammate, -1." So our manager's on the clock and he's -1. If a kid comes in and his shirt's not tucked in, I'm going to look at our manager, "Hey, +1, we're not ready to go." So you have this plus minus chart, and it's our culture. It's who we are. It's the things that we embody and the things that we value. And every single day, you're trying to get that number to 0. And for example, if it's 5 at the end of the day, we have 5 patinos, and we're
What's
trying.
What's a patino?
So it's half court back, full court back, in 17 seconds.
Okay.
So if you, that's just an easy way, just a quick little burst. I don't like running as punishment, but
yeah.
Also, I think it's just something in the back of their mind that, hey, every single day we're fighting for what really matters, and it's us against our culture every single day. And if we're in a huddle and somebody's not giving eye contact to the coach, I don't even have to get upset anymore. I used to, when I was a young coach, I would lose my head. I would punt a ball. I would just get so upset. Now I can just turn to our manager, "Hey, +1, so-and-so doesn't have eye contact," or if they don't echo a drill, or just anything that we value. I think, that just goes into who we are, and eventually it becomes who you are, and it becomes infectious and becomes part of your DNA, but it's something you have to fight for every single day. And for us, it's the accountability level. If you're not holding them accountable to those things every single day, there's going to be a crack in that foundation. So it's just something that us as a staff, we take great pride in, and hopefully that's, made our culture what it is.
And I think that's a great point. I value a lot of things like that culture-wise too, and want our guys to show up and look a certain way, talk a certain way, treat each other a certain way. And I think we do at Faith a good job of reminders, and always helping guys along. But I don't think I have a good accountability system set up like you have of they have choices in what color socks they can wear. They can wear white or red. Those are our school colors. You can wear white or red. You have choice.
Yeah.
Right, white or red. Kid wears blue. I will have him do towel pushes. And that's a way of doing it.
Right.
But I like this idea of the whole team together fighting for their culture. I would imagine you guys get great reminders from your players to each other about those 20 things.
You do. And something that really took off here, we call it TOE possessions, which is like a team over everything. That's kind of our phrase of who we are. We have TOE possessions. And when the ball looks like the Spurs, it moves around, we're unselfish. It's the coolest thing to hear our kids yell out, "Hey, coach, that's a TOE possession, -1. So we're in a spring league, or we're in an open gym the other day, and we're just playing around, and same thing happens. We move the ball around, and all the kids look at me, and obviously we're not doing the culture chart at that point just because it's open gym and kids are just playing around. But you still hear them yelling, "Hey, coach, that's a TOE possession, -1." So when that stuff, once again, just you could tell they really taken off with it. And another big part of it is players coaching players. If they can coach a player before I can get in there and say it, it's a -1. And now you have guys just leading guys, and it just once again just is who we want to become.
Yeah, I think I could see it really. Players starting to have each other's back,
you know.
Sure. And even I was just trying to think of how I would articulate, like, hey, fellas, when you're in the locker room, when you're coming out to practice, when you're coming into a huddle, one of the things we say is reminders are most necessary before they're needed.
Right.
You know, as coaches, we're guilty of giving reminders after the fact. We just blew a block out on a free throw. We didn't block out. Now, hey, got a block out. Good job, coach. You know, like not that special to say the thing that we need after we've missed the boat. Right. But I think the more that we can and players can anticipate, hey, we're coming in. Hey, eyes up, right? Like that's sort of, man. Do you do it so in season? Like I definitely see you got an hour and a half practice. Here's our 20 points. What about the spring when you're doing more of your individual skill work? Do you still hold that standard, or, you know, for a shorter amount of time?
Yeah. So we have an hour in the athletic period every day. So we'll do 10 points, and it's a little harder to get them down because you don't have a huge practice and you're not doing a lot of live stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll do different shooting drills. And if a kid gets a shooting drill, we'll go -1. And then if a kid doesn't, maybe it's a +1, just kind of depending the shooting drill we do. And I've stolen a lot of your shooting drills, all the Celtic scoring and all that stuff. And but if you get the drill, they'll turn to me, get excited. Hey, -1, you know, so-and-so got the drill. And hey, so-and-so, you were showing championship enthusiasm. You were cheering on your teammate, -another one. So we're not really having to, which I was surprised about. I thought I would have to come into the spring and bring the hammer down and, you know, just restart. But the kids have really surprised me of coming in with a ton of enthusiasm and just wanting to get back to work. So it's been a good spring.
I'm going to brag on you. You've said some kind things about me, but one of my big takeaways from that round table was you and I both do a lot of shooting games and we chart things. And we celebrate when guys do things well, but you had this magnet idea that and you're so, what I love about, I don't know if other coaching communities are like this, but in the basketball coaching community, I just feel like people are so willing to jump on a podcast and share what they do, not holding on to the secret sauce, you know, and wanting to grow the game. And that nugget of, so, oh man, they're right over here. I don't want to reach and grab them.
I have one right here.
Okay.
Beat the pro. Beat the pro.
Beat the pro. Moneyball right
Let's
here.
Go.
Yeah, and it's a magnet. And so we, after a shooting drill that we choose, they whoever wins it, they get the magnet. I didn't know how it would go or how they'd react to it. They want these little magnets.
Isn't it crazy? They love it. I almost had a kid fight another kid for a magnet. No, I had it in a second.
Yeah, I actually had to tell them, hey, don't take the magnet off of their locker and put it on yours. You got to earn it. You got to win it. Because kids are squirrely that way. But Jordan Peterson said, I think, assume that everybody you talk to can teach you something.
Right.
And that really, I've learned that in coaching is there's probably always a better way, or there's something that someone's doing that can make me think and I can learn from.
And going back to what you said earlier about, you know, sharing the game, I came in with not a wide network of knowing coaches. I kind of just came in on my own, and so many people were willing to share the game with me, and it just helped me grow so quick. So I owe it to you guys, to Danny Henderson, just guys like that, to just, man, it just kind of took me under their wing and, you know, just answer questions and just kind of mentored me. And it's the reason I am where I am today. So I always love giving back just what I can.
Man, his episode was awesome. I don't know if you had a chance.
I haven't had a chance.
I felt like I didn't belong on the call with him.
All the time, every time I talk to him.
Yeah, but again, just the way he communicated, and Like he's a big culture guy, and I feel like, I mean, I would love to come watch your practice and see it. I would imagine, that it's really fun for your players to come to the gym. Not that, see, I think people disconnect with a fun atmosphere with one that's not serious and we don't work hard.
Right.
I don't believe that those two things are the same.
Right. I think you have to have fun. If kids aren't having fun nowadays, they're not going to be interested and not going to come back the next day.
They'll go anywhere.
They will.
Yeah.
They will. So you have to make it fun, but you also have to make it competitive. And to me, kids, when you're competing, they are having fun. So you can put parameters on it however you want, but I think fun is a big part of it.
What's one thing that makes your program different?
So I never pick starters. So, for example, in my 10 years of being a head coach, I've never picked the starting lineup. Their practice habits, their practice effort, their practice plus minus has done that. So once again, I probably film too much stuff and chart too much stuff, but I like to measure and give kids feedback. So, for example, we'll film every practice, and anything 5-on-5, we'll grade it. So we have 10 winning plays, 10 losing plays that we grade every single day. So when you come in on a Monday, you can see what you did well. So, for example, I had 4 missed blockouts. That's a -3. So that's a -12. But I stole this from you. I had 10 hero passes. I'm sticking with it. All my kids want to call it a one more, but I'm sticking with hero. I love it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. But I had 10 hero passes. So that's a +10. So you have this plus minus you're fighting for every day. So the first week of the season, you don't play a game, you have a practice. So Monday through Friday, you get a grade. And the top 5 on the board, you're starting that next Tuesday and Friday game, no matter what. And then whoever wins that week gets a gold jersey. So we have one guy who gets a gold jersey in practice. They get to be the captain. They get to pick our music. If we're going out to eat that week, they get to pick that, what color socks we're wearing for the game. So you kind of give them some, some reward with it, and you get a social media shout out. And at the end of the year, you get to sign the gold jersey for ever how many times you won it. So to me, just trying to reward, good behaviors. And to me, it changed our program this year. We had a kid who I tell him all the time, he's the worst kid I've ever started. He was, but he's the hardest playing kid I've ever had.
Yeah.
And completely, he got healthy. He broke his wrist at the beginning of the year. He got sick midway through, but in district time, he hasn't even played a game yet, but came in and just outworked and just hustled. And we started him, and it changed the dynamic of our season. And just his tenacity and toughness just really put us over the edge. And now our younger guys are seeing, hey, Coach Sip's going to reward these things, so I better do these things in practice, or I'm never going to see the floor. So I just kind of put the ball in their court.
Coach, I think it's a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. You're the first person I've ever heard do that.
It's crazy.
I've never, man, I've listened to tons. I've never heard that before. And I can see so many times we preach, work hard, your time will come, it'll pay off.
Right.
But then are there guys that probably deep down think, man, I'm guy 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It doesn't really matter what I do. I can't make up the gap to get into that rotation. Mm-hmm. But they truly, at practice, truly do have the opportunity. Let me push back a little bit and ask, I see all the positives. What are some of the negatives that and maybe they're not big, or if there's none, you can say there's no negatives that you
there's
felt
always some.
That. Yeah.
Well, like for instance, this year, you're running a 5-out offense, but you have the middle guy who's kind of your post playmaker. Well, one game I didn't have one because who I started were 5 guards, smaller guys. Or, for example, you're playing a pressing team. You're playing Watson at Kenny, and he's going to press you the whole entire game, and your best ball handler is sitting. But I've always seen it to work out. It's never not worked out. You can get those guys in quick, but to me, if you're not rewarding, I think the positive outweighs the negative by far, within that stuff.
Here's another positive to it is I was thinking on that flip side, at scouting or preparing for you, Well, guys, listen, no clue who they're going to start.
For sure. Yeah.
So you could dictate the game,
Mhm.
in a way of you play five guys, five guards, and they're a man team with a couple bigs. Well, all of a sudden, how do they match up?
Right.
I see more positives with that than negatives.
And to me, in my time at Sulphur, we were loaded with guys, and I had 7 Division I guys on the roster at one time, and our practices were so competitive. So I had to find a way to make younger guys hungry and just compete. And we had 2 or 3 guys that didn't want to practice hard, so we were always fighting them. So we got to the point and we were like, "Hey, you're not going to start because if you're not in this top 5 of this." Of our practice goals, then it's not going to happen. So all of a sudden, it turned their mindset around to no, I got to compete, and I'm too prideful not to start. So it just changed the way we practice, and just kind of became who we were.
How do you go about the statting of it? Like, and I'm not. So one time I was listening to Alan Stein he came to faith to do a stronger team thing, and he was talking about all the things that as coaches we should do. And I, in a moment of weakness, raised my hand and said, "Coach, listen, it's just me by myself at my school. I don't have any full-time guys, and I get 38 to 43 minutes a day. What with that amount of little amount of time, how do you go about choosing?" And he just flipped it on me and said, "Listen, there are a lot of dudes that don't get 38 to 43 minutes. So the question is what all can you do?
Right.
Not I can't do something." So because when you say this is how you go about the week, my mind just starts going, man, how could I do that with other things that have to be done without? So how many assistants you're delegating it to them? Just the process of that. Just help me through that.
So early on at Sulphur, it was me and one assistant because I had 2 guys who were football guys, and we didn't get those guys with us. As we've evolved and became better at Sulphur, we got another assistant in who was a basketball guy, so that helped. But kind of the process we do it now, we have one guy who kind of puts up everything. So I have 4 assistants, so me plus 3. So my first assistant, he'll do the winning plays. My second assistant will do the losing plays, and then me and the other coach will call out. So we'll all sit down after practice, whether it's most of the time it's 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll just go through and me and the other coach will call stuff out, and the other 2 are charting, and then we'll just kind of add it up. It takes about 30, 35 minutes after practice, but to me, it's something that we have to do here at Allen. It's worth the time put in, and I try not to waste time in doing stuff. I try to be deliberate about what we do and not try to do too much, but to me, that's something that's really made us who we are.
How long are you practicing in season?
It varies. At Sulphur, way too long. The older I've gotten, the more aware of their bodies and, wanting your legs late. I thought this year I did a really good job of managing that. My assistants let me know pretty frequently that, just those reminders. So early on in the season, you're going the whole 2 hours. In district, an hour 15, an hour sometimes, just making sure we get our skill in, and then whether some scout or fine tune some stuff. So I think it just depends on the team you have as well. If you have an older team that's more experienced, you can kind of let off. If you have a team that you're trying to build toughness and, they're not there yet, and in 2 years they're going to be really good, I think you can go a little bit longer.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is sponsored by 3on3 Hoops Hub. 3on3 Hoops Hub has run over 350 3on3 basketball leagues for kids since 1997. 3on3 is the ideal format for players to get a lot of opportunities, work on all skills and positions, and have fun with their friends. Whether you want to build your program, raise some funds, or start your own business, you can bring 3on3 to your community and do it like an expert by learning from the best with 3on3 Hoops Hub's free 90-minute training. You can register at the link in the show notes. One of my favorite debates to have with coaches is it system or is it players?
Right.
And because the idea of I have a style of play, and no matter where I go, I can make this style work, or the other side of it all depends on my players.
Right.
And I'll change my style depending on what they need. What are your thoughts on that, especially coming from, 2 different schools with types of communities? style or players?
Definitely players. I don't get to recruit my players, so I can't make them fit into a system. And I don't really even have a system. I couldn't tell you what's my favorite way to coach. I just like to find out the group I have and put them in positions to be most successful. So for instance, at Sulphur, I had 6'9", 6'8". My point guard was 6'7" at one time. So we were huge. So at Sulphur, we slowed teams down. We threw it inside. We high-load everybody. We played ultra pack line. We did not gamble on defense. That was a sin. We just played really slow because we knew to get out of region 2 to get past Lancasters and Kimballs of the world. That's the style that we had to do to win. Where I come here, and my biggest kid's 6'5", 6'6", and he's not a back to the basket. He's a big wing. So I have to throw all of my playbooks out the window and, come up with new ones. So here we played a lot of 5-out, dribble drive principles, playing a whole lot faster, really pressuring the ball defensively. And, that's kind of the style that we've evolved. But even from last year to this year, I'm constantly evolving every year and not completely scrapping it and throwing in a whole new offense. But the little pieces within the offense we're tweaking to fit this year's group. We're defensively tweaking it to fit, this group. So trying to keep some of the concepts, but also, I want to put our kids in the best positions, to be successful.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the answer to the question is it's both, right?
Yeah.
Like you and I honestly, I'll just be transparent. This is an area that I've struggled in because my heart wants to play fast, wants to shoot a lot, and not walk the ball, really rarely throw it in the paint. I want the ball to get to the paint off the bounce, but not through a big. And at Faith, I've had the luxury of not ever really having a big that demanded, we will win or we'll be better if the ball goes through him in that spot. But I think you're right on the money. And I think that's what makes you probably a really good coach and other guys really good is their ability to adapt and change and not be so set in their ways. So I envy that in a way of the guys that can do that.
Yeah. And I think it's really fun because then you get to study new styles and talk to new people in new ways. So you're constantly trying to grow, yourself. Where I think, if, it's the other way around, like you said, sometimes you can get complacent, but you're always fine tuning stuff and you want to coach the way that makes you feel good, and you have to have fun as a coach.
Yeah.
If you're not coaching to the way you want to have fun, you're not enjoying it. So like you said, I think there's a equal balance to it.
I think it's pretty common for in season, the skill development, individual skill development to kind of stop sometimes. And it's all team. You run the risk then of team improving, but individuals, except for your one or two best players, they're not getting better at that point. They may be maintaining, but they could even be getting worse. Right. How does individual skill development work into your daily practice in season?
It's every day. We're not going to go a day without doing it. Every single day we're going to drill, pass, shoot, and finish. And I make sure at all levels from junior high to our freshman group to our JV group to varsity that every single day you're building in those 4 concepts. And it was kind of a newsflash to our junior high group. They get 2 hours to practice and they want to do 2 hours of team the whole time. I said, no, man, your first hour is going to be skill work. And I'll give you the blueprint of what that's going to look like. But every single day you're going to dribble, you're going to pass, you're going to shoot, and you're going to finish. So throughout the season, that's what we start with every single day. So you come into the gym, whether that's 20 minutes, some days it can be 40 minutes. But every single day we're going to do that. And I tell players all the time, like, I want you guys to have the opportunity to go play at the next level if that's something you want to do. So we're gonna invest in you doing that every single day. And with that coming, our team's going to get better because you're going to be able to make reads and you're going to be able to have the footwork needed and you're going to be able to finish and shoot. So to me, early on in my career, I messed up and I thought I could out-coach people, I could outsmart people, and I had 100 plays and I was just trying to be the guru. And you can get a guy an open shot or get a guy an open look, but if they don't know how to play and how to make reads and if they don't have the skill level to do that stuff, it looks really bad. And I'm a walking testament of that. So, my mindset completely evolved, and I think it's the most important piece.
Yeah, the great Tom Inman I was at a restaurant with him at a state tournament years ago, and I asked, I said, Coach, how'd you guys win state at Plano? And he looked at me, he said, Matt, we're jockeys. The guys with the best horses win.
Right.
And there's a part of that, which obviously the art of coaching is we take the horses we have and we put them in the best positions to be successful. But then the other part is, are we building them and helping them to get better and be the best they can be? Question about, I love the fact that in your junior high, you're having that idea as well with skill work. How many junior highs going into Allen?
We have 3 junior highs.
Are you pretty active with those coaches? Are they basketball guys that you kind of have a relationship with, or,
They're kind of all around coaches. I wouldn't call them necessary. I think 1 or 2 of them might be basketball first guys, but we have guys who work really hard. And, this is my first year, and we had a clinic at the beginning of the year and just talked about, hey, this is what we want to do. And those guys bought into it, and they'll do exactly what you ask. And that's all I need.
Yeah.
Guys who will do exactly what we ask to do to the best of their ability. They'll ask questions. So in the morning times, first period, we'll get to go to, I'll pick a junior high to go to. So every week I'll at least go to each junior high one day. And then I have 3 assistants. So I'll attach an assistant to a junior high. So for example, Coach Manning will be Ford. Coach Fleming will be Erickson. Coach Olchek will be Curtis. So they're in charge of that one middle school. So any questions that they have directly, and they can watch film, or they can help out and kind of be the lifeline as well. So they're my second eyes and just kind of helping those guys. So I think the more that you can get everybody on the same page and share the vision with those guys, I'm at a place where, that they're doing it and helping me with it.
That's big time. Do you have your junior highs running similar actions and concepts that your high school does?
They do, and just a very basic level of it.
Yeah.
And again, I tell them all the time, I don't care what plays you put in. You be creative and put in your own plays. We're going to build the skill level, and we're going to have no post. We're not going to make any kid a post. We're going to play 5 out and teach every kid to dribble, teach every kid to shoot, teach every kid to pass. And we're not going to tell a kid don't take a shot. We're not going to hurt his confidence. We're not going to tell a kid, hey, you never dribble. We're just going to try to build up each kid and teach them how to play the game of basketball. And hopefully by the time they get to me, then, they have a good foundation.
Man, I love that. I think it would have been fun to work for you as an assistant coach. Maybe I missed the boat there. Not Les Watson was great. That's not a dig on him at all. But no, I love your thought process behind everything. And yeah, I think you're going to be doing pretty special things at Allen for sure.
I appreciate that.
How does your program use social media to enhance it?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of today's day and age. Every kid wants shout outs, and every kid's so worried about their image. So to me, you have to embrace these things. Just like AAU, I think some high school coaches, they don't like AAU or get a bad image of it. To me, everything's here to help. So if we learn to embrace the surrounding things to just help our players and to boost up our players, I think, it goes a long way. So for example, like our magnet idea where you're shooting, those are, every time a kid breaks a drill, we're giving them a social media shout out. So you're rewarding these things. And I think it's important for your community, for your parents to see this stuff, to just and gloat about your program. You want to promote your program as much as possible. And once again, I don't care if people know what we're doing. I want to promote our, and I want to, I'll try to make Allen and every job I've been at the most big time I can make it. I want to treat it like it's a Duke or treat it, like it's a big time college job, because that's how we really view it. I want our players to view it that way. So we're going to try to do everything within our power to make it as big time as possible.
Yeah, I think it's free advertising.
It is.
Right. Like, I was listening to a podcast probably, 15 years ago now. The guy said, if you're not actively using social media to promote your program, you're behind. And so I just kind of latched. I don't want to be behind. I'm competitive.
Right.
And so I latched onto that. But it can be, or almost feel like it's a full-time job. Do you have anybody at Allen that helps you with that?
That we do. Coach Olchek, he does all of our graphics, and he's amazing. If you go on our Twitter page, you'll see, high level. It looks legit graphic.
What does he use? Do you know what he uses?
He uses Adobe
Photoshop.
Photoshop, yes.
Okay, I may be contacting him if you don't mind for some.
Yeah, for sure.
PSDs is what they're called.
Okay.
The guy at Midland Christian, he was the one that sent almost everything to, because Coach will ask me like, "Oh, I love your graphics." I didn't make any of it, but I can change colors and I can move some stuff and I can. But yeah, I love that idea of making a big time where you're at. That's something that George Barber at Greenville said to me. And, you know, I'm at a school, we have 350 kids at our school. And I got to remember that to make it special for them and to highlight them.
And I think, you know, it goes into your locker room, trying to make it as big time as possible, going into, you know, your clothes and just any little thing that you can do to just give back to the players and make them feel special. I think, man, it just goes a long way in your relationship building.
You nailed something there. Coach Eastman was talking about excellence, and I thought it was going to be excellence in, you know, how they practice, how they do things. But he was talking more about excellence in how they travel. He said they wanted their players to feel like they were taken care of. And then he even mentioned excellence with their locker room, excellence with their weight room. And he said we were going to do anything we could with the money that we had to make it first class. And that was a shift for me. You know, not that I've ever wanted our guys to not have first class, but there's sometimes been this idea of, listen, you know, this is high school. They need to be thankful for what they have, and they just need to, whatever it is, hey, have a great attitude.
Yeah.
But why not, like, paint and have some lighting and do some things to make it a nicer environment for them to walk into?
Right. And going back to that idea, we make them earn it. You know, at the beginning of every year, we'll have like a little boot camp. So they have to earn these things, but it's more rewarding when you do get a chance to earn them. And like you said, and just pour them back and give them back as much as you can to them once they do that.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. What are some of the off-season expectations that you have for your players?
So we'll come in. So at the end of the season, we'll have these exit interviews and we'll talk. And I'm very honest with each kid. You know, I'll tell them, if the season started today, this is where we see you. These are your strengths. These are your weaknesses. And this is who I see you becoming. So what's your goal? And get a chance to really listen to the player and see what he wants to become and you know, his goals and his dreams. So once we have that set, I said, let's create a roadmap on how we're going to get there. So every single day we call it sharpening the sword. We're just trying to build up, you know, your toolbox or your pad, whatever you want to call it. But every single day we're trying to make you better within that. And our big thing is, I want gym rats. I tell the kids all the time, we can't create a championship program with guys who are up here from 8 to 3:30. And at Sulphur Springs, they bought into that concept. From day one, we had sunrise shooting. I was up there till 10 o'clock at night most nights. It was a full-time gig. But kids just love being in the gym, and that's the attitude we're taking on now. You know, different kids tell me they want to go play college basketball, and you know, so I'm trying to explain to them, you know, this is what it takes. I've had 3 or 4 guys in your position that are playing at that level, and these were their daily habits, and these were the things that they did after practice. So these are the things, if you want to do it, you have to align it this way. So just trying to get kids to you know, take ownership in their own development as well. So I think that's a big part.
I'm going to dive into a little bit more about your personal life, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Married, kids, what do you got going?
So I'm married and have 2 kids.
Nice. How long have you been married?
So I've been married 8 years. I have a 5-year-old, and then my wife had a previous. He's 13, 7th grader. And we actually took in a kid at Sulphur. He moved in with us as a 9th grader, stayed all the way, still comes to Christmas time at our house, Thanksgiving, and he's playing at SFA right now. Very proud of him. So, you know, he's our 3rd.
That's cool. Very cool. I love the time commitment that you're talking about putting in with your program. I can tell that you're all in with the process with your players and helping them achieve their dreams and goals. How's that dynamic work with, you know, with your wife, with your little
Yeah.
kids, with, you're up there at 10 o'clock at night. Danny Henderson was talking about some of the hours that he put in. And sometimes I think I work hard, and then I hear what other guys are doing. What's that? How's that balance work for you?
I'm not the best at it. That's one of my weaknesses. And I have such a wonderful wife who is, all about, just me living my God-given purpose, and which is to give back to kids and to motivate and build relationships. But the older I get, once again, I'm finding more balance in my time. And I'm fortunate to have 3 assistants now. So we kind of split that time as, now. But early on in my career, I really wasn't. I was up there all the time. I was probably up there too much. But I thought that's what it took, to give these guys a chance. And once again, my wife was really supportive. I would try to bring them up to the gym as much as possible. Just having that support system back at home. If they believe in the dream, and they're behind you 100%, and you're behind them 100% in everything they do, I think it goes a long way. But it's definitely something I'm always trying to get better at, and just be more present. My 5-year-old just eats up basketball. So any opportunity, when I come back up here, he's coming
That's
back
cool.
with me. And he's on the sideline doing the dribbling moves that they're doing. And we're at home. Last night it was like 10:30 at night, and we're doing layup lines in the living room, me and him. So it's
The future. The future.
Yeah, I hope he takes after his mom.
If I was to walk in, so it's the spring, if I was to walk in to one of your skill sessions with your players, what's just that skeleton? Obviously, like for ball handling, dribbling, there's just hundreds of things that you could do, but what's that skeleton kind of look like? What are your ideas behind skill work and stretching players this time of year?
So a big part is decision making, in my opinion. So, what footwork to use when you're shooting, and having names for it. So, like, for example, a lot of times we'll start with form shooting at a goal. You do your one hand, your two hand, your boom one, two, your step and twos, your swing and two. So you're just trying to build the groundwork of your shooting. But then, you're trying to teach kids when to do that. And every kid in our program, we teach them that if you're open, you're capable of making that shot. And that's probably not the right method, but it's the method I believe in, that you shouldn't have to play on the floor, that if he's open, he shouldn't be able to step into a shot and shoot it.
Offense, it gets really hard if there's dudes that don't need to be guarded.
Right
there.
100%. And I'm glad other teams have those guys, to be honest with you, because it makes my job not really well. But we shoot so much that I need every kid to believe he can make shots. So we're building that foundation and those confidence and those reads every single day. We do what we call finishing school every single day. So once again, teaching guys when to go off 1 foot, when to go off 2 feet, when to make a counter move, when to go up quick, when to stretch the ball. So every day we're trying to build in these decisions on when to use them, when to, how to read a closeout, how to use fakes. So that's the foundation of what we're really teaching, and the how to and the why is a huge part. So if you take the time to teach them the why, I think it sticks, and then they're able to execute it, under pressure.
I think that's a big difference between some of the skill sessions that I might see, or a select practice that I may watch. And there's some really good skill coaches, some really good select coaches, but a lot of times there's a lot of activity,
right,
and very little detail, and very few times do I hear the why behind why they're doing something. And so I think you nailed it right there. And another point that you made about all of your guys feeling like they can shoot open shots, like that's where system does come into it.
Right.
Because if you run a system where dudes are never going to be out at the places that they're practicing their shooting, then they can't, they're not going to lie to themselves. They know, I'm working on something right now. I'm spending time on something right now that I'll never be able to do.
Right. Yeah. And why would kids invest and come to the gym and work if you're not going to allow them to shoot it? So I have a big kid who's at TCU, just a remarkable player. I think he's probably going to make money playing the game one day. But he's 6'9", kind of goofy, uncoordinated. But we're in the regional finals or regional semifinals against Highland Park. And he hits 3 threes to start the game because they off of him. And now they have to come out, and now we can high-low easier. But if didn't develop the confidence within, that would have been a whole lot harder. And but I think because we instilled the confidence, he had the faith to shoot it and the faith to make shots. So
let's just say you get a guy moves in as a sophomore, so he's a high school player with the shooting culture that you have, and I feel like ours are similar. My question to you is form or mentality? Which one do you spend more time on?
Me, mentality. And that might not be a great answer. My big thing is, I don't know if I don't know how to teach shooting very well. It's such an intricate, skill. But we're very basic in our teaching, our shooting. Where you're going to have feet, you're going to have flow, and you're going to finish your shot. And everybody's shot's going to look different. Whether your elbows in. I just want you to be consistent when you shoot. And if your feet are straight and you're consistent and you're on base and on balance, I'm going to develop this piece. And we're constantly talking to kids, next shot. I shouldn't be able to tell in your body language if you're making or missing shots. I'm just approaching it with a game speed effort and game shots, game spots, game speed. To me, that's more important that I've seen. Not saying that's right or wrong, might be wrong, but to me, it's helped our kids.
Coach, I'm just going to tell you that you're right. Okay, no.
Appreciate it.
I mean, obviously, there's guys way smarter than you and I that might have different opinions on it. I just happen to think we're right. And I made this percentage up. I don't have any data to back it up at all, but I think it's 90 to 10. It's 90% mentality and it's 10% form. The reason now, like you mentioned, there are 2 or 3 non-negotiables with your shot. If you're facing the wrong way, it's going to be hard. If
Right.
you have movement that is pushing the ball away from your target, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean, a kid comes in, I'm going to do very little with his actual form. And if anything, and me and Tyler Costin talked about this, I'm just going to ask him to shoot faster.
Yes.
Because I've seen the quicker people shoot, the less hitches, the less negative movement that they have. Speed seems to smooth out their form. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I completely agree. And I've heard he was on a podcast or had something on Instagram where he was talking about shooting faster. So I took that into account with my little one. Hey, just get it off quick. And to me, like you said, now that does fix stuff. I never thought of it that way, but that's a good way.
Try it. Like try shooting fast with bad form.
Yeah.
It literally when guys shoot and I feel like I don't mean to be name dropping so much, but a lot of the conversations I'll be able to have doing this, these little nuggets are kind of flooding when we talk about especially shooting. But Jay Wolf from Star Shooter, the shooting strap guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which it's guide hand, but that little piece of that shooting strap, I mean, thumbing it or offhand interference is the number one reason why most shooters are inconsistent. They're doing something with that guide hand to push. And so that shooting strap, it really does fix it. It's not a sponsor or anything. I wish, but
might be now.
Yeah, but it really is great. But he was talking about getting guys to play or shoot at game speed. You can tell it, you can drill it. I've got some kind of things that I've done with my guys to help them with that. But even like a 2-clap, approach, it has to be out in that amount of time.
I like that.
He said, try to, so I'll do it with you. All right, coach, say game speed as fast as you can. Go.
Game speed.
Faster.
Game speed.
Yeah, where you only hear the the D.
Yeah.
Like that. And he's doing this on the call. And he's like, next time you go out and shoot, try to, when leather touches your fingertips, you say game speed at that speed. Dude, you can't help but just do everything quicker. And once they're comfortable at that type of speed, form gets better. And then all you have to focus on then is mentality, which is, I feel like that's what cripples the majority of, and how do you get guys that can go 0 for 5 in the first half, but make 5 in the second half? They've got to be so tough, and you have to help them with that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I'm definitely still in that.
Game speed. I love it.
Easy.
Coach, this has been great.
Yeah.
I want to get to know you a little bit better with the speed round. You ready?
Okay.
All right. Fast questions. Favorite ice cream flavor?
I don't eat ice cream.
Coach, we've been so aligned.
I don't like sweets. I know.
Always been that way?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, you're probably going to live pretty long because sugar is poison. You're right.
Is it? I gotta watch my weight now. The older I get, so I just try to stay away. But I eat chips all the time. So
I gotta ask, how old are you though? Because
34.
All right, you look like you could be 21. I mean, it's a compliment. It's not like a
gray coming. It's coming.
Don't talk about gray. I tell you.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom.
Oh, stress. No, too blessed to be stressed, right? Next one for high school: shot clock or no shot clock?
For sure, shot clock.
I thought so. Texting or talking?
I like to talk.
I've heard people say it depends on who it is, and
Right.
because kids, players will text. You can get them on a text way quicker than on the phone, unfortunately.
For sure.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm thinking like back to Jesus days. So I could, have conversations with him, see him do miracles.
Oh, just to be able to watch it. No
Yeah,
doubt.
that'd be super cool.
Place you most want to travel, or your favorite place to travel?
I want to go to Italy. So my heritage is Italian. I've never been to Italy, so would love to go one day.
Very cool. Very cool. Favorite childhood TV show?
Oh man, that's a good one. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Nice. Two left. How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
I don't drink coffee.
Any caffeine at all?
I do Spark.
Oh, good stuff. Advocate. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah,
love
Advocate,
that.
yeah.
Last one: Godfather or Star Wars? And
Definitely Godfather.
Okay, you didn't even hesitaate. You're Italian.
I'm Italian. Yeah.
Oh, see, sometimes like when guys pause, I want to. Oh, you could say neither, but yeah, there was no pause from you there.
No, gotta go Godfather. My dad would be proud.
Coach, this was great. Like I knew from just getting to hear you at that round table that you're somebody that I feel like is special. Like just does a lot of cool things and a lot of things that will make me think as a coach and some great ideas. I just really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to sit and talk, and I want to have some more conversations with you.
Anytime, man. I mean that for sure. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.